Can Salah be the greatest African footballer of all time? Apparently, if you say no, you are racist. According to Liverpool fans all over the internet the last 2-3 days, supposedly West Africans now hate Salah because they did not vote him to win the Ballon d'Or and they were desperate for Salah to finish third in the Ballon d'Or. The evidence of this? The African voters who did not have Salah to win the Ballon d'Or. But there's one slight problem. If you just zoom in there, what do you guys see? Hakimi number 1, Hakimi number 1, Hakimi number 2. Another North African, whether you want to call it Arab, North African, whatever you guys want to class them as, it's the same region, the same color, the same everything. They voted Hakimi to win. And need I remind you, the same Hakimi whose Morocco team every African supported in the last World Cup. Don't you find that a little bit interesting? So they're evidence to prove that supposedly some sort of Salah hatred, Salah agenda or something is people voting Hakimi to be number 1. The obvious truth here is that it is not a race thing. But what I find interesting is that the one specific fan base who always preach we're Scouse not English, Scouse not English, they are now trying to police Africa and tell them how they should view players. And so therefore now apparently Africans are wrong for believing that you got to deliver at least one cheeky AFCON to be the GOAT, right? We can all respect legends and people can be elite players, world-class players, but to be the number 1 and you've never delivered for your nation, I'm sorry, that cannot be the greatest of all time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that makes you racist. Eto'o is number 1, not because he's from West Africa, right? Eto'o's number 1 because he delivered trebles for multiple clubs and big, like, we're not talking about trebles that, again, you can argue about it and you can say, oh, is it in Africa, is it this place, that place? He's done the treble in the Europe that you love so much for Inter and for Barca. And then on home soil, he delivered AFCON. He even is there in Olympics. Again, when the era where them were wearing the vest for Cameroon, Eto'o delivered there too. And of course, then you add, you know, football ability and trophies, numbers, whatever you want to talk about, right? Unfortunately, in Salah's case, whether we like it or not, Egypt were the kings of Africa when it comes to football specifically, right? When I was growing up and I'm sitting there watching Eurosport, Egypt are dominating, bro. 08, they win. Like 09, bro, they three-peated the AFCON. They were moving crazy, ruling Africa on a footballistic perspective in the same way that we could argue Tutankhamun was ruling from 1333 to 1323 BC, for those of us who remember. That 9-10 year stretch, they were going crazy. And I know what they're going to say already, so we can debunk every myth that people are going to bring up in the comments. They're going to say, oh, but what's Salah meant to do with this team? Can you name me 5 players from that 09 Egypt team? I can sit and wait. Without going to Google, can you name me the players in that team? No, you cannot. So let's not act like suddenly, oh, that Egypt was like a super team or something and you know, they had 11 incredible ballers and that's why they were winning things. Bro, it just so happens that as soon as Salah arrived 2011, they never won again. And people are, again, going to bring up that, like, you know, there's turmoil and, you know, whatnot for the next couple of years and there's external factors. They hosted the tournament in 2019 and they got bounced out. Time and time again, he has failed to deliver. When everyone is there watching, obviously everyone brings up the Senegal one, obviously not once, but twice when Sadio Mane has done that. And I want to reiterate as well, and this is something that even if you're not from Africa, you can understand what I'm going to say here, is that everyone in life, football, whatever it may be, aside from football, TV shows, movies, whatever, people like to root for the underdog. So when everyone's celebrating, you know, Senegal doing something crazy, it is not because of anything towards Egypt, who again are the top dogs when it comes to AFCON. They are the champions of Africa pretty much, right? That's literally how it is. And then Salah, you know, when you talk about like iconic Egypt moments, you just think about the laser in his eyes and then he misses, or him refusing to even take it and trying to go 5th but then they're already out. Again, these things are not West Africa's fault, right? Like, I don't understand how there's this narrative that's supposedly and somehow so calmly being allowed to be perpetuated, if you will, that it's everyone's fault that Salah didn't win the Ballon d'Or. Unfortunately, there is life outside of England, right? That's just how the facts go. And I mean, I can go further for you, right? Because again, if you want to make it about West Africa, bro, people can all acknowledge Didier Drogba, legend, right? I think no matter what team you support, you like Drogba. Even if Drogba scored 5, 10, 15 goals against your club, you rate Drogba on the pitch and off the pitch, of course. You know, the whole impact in stopping the war and whatnot. However, even for him, people still joke that, oh, well, you didn't win AFCON. The moment you retired, Ivory Coast won AFCON. So as great as Drogba can be, he cannot be number one GOAT because he didn't deliver in his country. And there's nothing wrong, or not in his country, in his continent rather. There's nothing wrong with African fans believing that a player should win something on home soil to be considered the number one. I think that's a pretty, you know, normal take. And look, I can even explain it to you from further, right? Because again, I mentioned Drogba there. What guys aren't understanding is that West Africa's rivalry is far greater, far older than any sort of Salah agenda or Salah hate or whatever they want to call it when people say that Salah is a great but not the number one. So I'll give you my perspective, right? Someone from Ghana who, you know, in primary school, secondary school, uni, up till now, most of my closest friends have been Nigerian. However, when it comes to World Cup, even the qualifiers, I'm there hate watching. I want them to lose. You can see me gas up Victor Osimhen for the last 3 years. Calvin Bassey when they were all calling him Meaty, you know, Ajax times, Rangers, whatever. Iwobi, there's so many Nigerian players here. Bro, when I met Okocha, I was gassed, right? The shirt I'm wearing has a Nigerian on there. But I will hate watch them. Because that's just how the rivalry is. It's not like we do not hate each other. I'm sure Nigerian people watching this, you don't hate me. I don't hate you either. I don't hate any Nigerian person or player or anything. But it's football. That is how it goes, right? So I don't understand how people now think it's suddenly because of Salah. And the other argument they're making is that, like, oh, why has no one like ever rated Salah from day one? But then they're also contradicting themselves, saying that people are only scared to rate Salah now because if they say that Salah is great, that means he's going to be the GOAT of all time. But how could he have been the GOAT after 1 year when people still didn't rate him back then? It's okay that people don't, you know, rate your specific player super, super high. There's nothing wrong with that. And my confusion is like, why do you even care? First and foremost, finishing third or fourth or fifth in the Ballon d'Or is meaningless. I don't mean to offend anyone, but no one cares. Either you won the Ballon d'Or or you didn't, right? It's that simple. We made a video of guys that finished second or third or fourth or whatever. Bro, they're not going to go and put in their on their cabinet that they were on the podium for Ballon d'Or. Ultimately, that's something that you either win it or you don't. So first of all, that doesn't matter. Second of all, Salah is a legend who is delivering you trophies upon trophies for your club. Why do you care if Chelsea fans prefer Eden Hazard? Why do you care? Why do you care if the rest of the Premier League agrees that he can't chat to Henry and Cristiano Ronaldo? Why do you care? Why are you... Is the word insecure correct? It's like a neediness for everyone to rate your players. But what does it matter? No, what is going to happen if suddenly now people rate your players? It's not going to make you win anymore. Nothing's going to change, bro. Like, I don't understand it. Why do you care if, for example, when I was working at FIFA, there's video footage out there. I was speaking to an Egyptian when we were doing like some sort of recording thing, right? And I asked him who's the greatest African ever, like in your opinion, someone who is from Egypt. He told me Abu Trika. But that's okay. Again, nothing's going to change. It's not going to make him play better or worse for you. So why do you care about... Validation is the word I was looking for. Validation is the word I was looking for. I said insecure. You get what I mean now. Because at the end of the day, West Africa votes, I don't even know how much it even accounts for in the grand scheme of things, right? Because we're seeing brothers like Albania putting Cole Palmer second. Is it their fault as well? Like, why this is happening, I don't know. And now they want to ban journalists from voting. And guess what they want to do? They want to make players do the voting. The same players that tell us they only watch Champions League. Let that sink in a little bit. You who want Salah to win the Ballon d'Or want the players who only watch Champions League to vote. I'm sorry to tell you, if that had happened, my good friends, you're not making the 30-man shortlist, bro, because you got bounced out by PSG. And whether we like it or not, right, unless you are, you know, Messi and Ronaldo, which is, those two are on like a different planet to every other normal human being that can compete for Ballon d'Or, you gotta win one of the big ones to make that, you know, number one or even like a number two kind of thing, right? Like, realistically, you look back as far as, let's think, so there's Modric, there's Benzema, you go back to Kaká, Cannavaro, like, basically, up for the last 20 years, I guess you could say, you gotta win something of the highest order, whether it be a World Cup or a Champions League, or you're Messi Ronaldo, or you're not winning it, bro. So I don't see how it's West Africa's fault that your boy keeps on dipping from February onwards, right? We can say last season, incredible. The numbers are ridiculous. And the fact that he's given these numbers, you know, let's also give him his flowers, whilst dipping in February, whilst playing alongside the likes of Darwin Núñez, it has to be appreciated. But however, when the lights were brightest in the Champions League against PSG, you didn't even so much as lay even a tiny glove on Nuno Mendes, right? We didn't even see. It wasn't even like, oh, you tried and you missed some, you know, a lot of chances here and there. We even forgot you were playing. So for people, that's going to stand out, guys. And I reiterate, it doesn't matter if you bring up some random quote of Vincent Abubakar saying he's better than Salah, bro. Why do you care about that? Like, realistically, everyone's going to get trolled, bro. It's the same way that people cry about, like, you know, players getting slandered. You guys know me, I've been defending Wirtz, right? They're now crying that Wirtz is getting slandered too much. The same guys that are saying, you know, whatever they want about United new signings and that Mbuemo is the third AU brother, or that Gyökeres wears jeans. This is football nowadays, bro. Whether we like it or not, that is football discourse. I don't think it's racist to believe that Salah needs to win an AFCON to even start chatting to Samuel Eto'o as far as, you know, number one of all time is concerned. Again, maybe you guys disagree with me. I don't know. I just thought I'd come and share my opinions because it's a debate that, honestly, it's kind of insulting. I don't mean insulting because Salah's a bad footballer. Again, I want to reiterate, like, he's done his thing, you know, keep grinding and whatnot. But, like, to blame West Africa for the fact that Salah's not winning a Ballon d'Or, it's insane to me, bro. I don't know. Maybe I'm on my ones here. But look, again, we can all... People love JJ Okocha, right? Nobody calls him the GOAT. People love George Weah. He won the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, Liberia is a far weaker team than Egypt, right? You talk about Egypt's team. Who the hell can even name you another Liberian player? Ever. At any point in time. Outside of George Weah. You cannot, bro. But suddenly, it's, oh, poor Salah. Like, what a bad Egypt team he has. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it, honestly. People just... You don't understand, I guess, the way in which Africa's working, right? If you saw last AFCON, every big team, whether it be Ghana, you know, the whole Comoros nonsense, Nigeria losing the final, Ivory Coast, who everyone celebrated winning in the final, when they were in the groups, they were getting laughed at. When they were getting spanked and they sacked their gaffer. Bro, the same for Egypt, for Algeria. It doesn't matter. And furthermore, can anyone tell me where Zinedine Zidane's from? Oh, that's right. Yeah, North Africa. Fair enough. But most people regard him as the best midfielder of all time. That's interesting. But apparently it's North Africa racism. Cool. Anyone tell me where Riyad Mahrez is from? Someone that most people love as well. Oh, yeah, cool. Right. Fairs. North Africa as well. Interesting. But apparently people don't think Salah's the best because he doesn't do 7 rainbow flicks. Again, that narrative, very tired. But look, I guess the question I will ask for you guys, what do you think Salah has to do to be the GOAT? Because he's still playing, so, you know, football can change. I just don't think, on a footballistic perspective, he can chat to, let's say, a Samuel Eto'o, but, you know, a couple AFCONs, a treble, and then, you know, it's going to be pretty difficult to make a case why Eto'o would be above. Again, Eto'o, the longevity of Eto'o for whatever amount of time. You're going to have Salah now doing it consistently for 7-8 years. Let's see what happens in the future. Maybe it's a conversation that we revisit. But for now, I'm sure you'll agree, this cannot be Africa's GOAT. Last thing I will say, I forgot to do it already, but better late than never, huh? If you haven't already, subscribe. I'll still be here posting my daily videos. We're on the road to 50k. We're on 42 now, so let's keep the train moving. And let's see what's going to happen first. Me getting 100k or Salah winning AFCON.